everybody, and welcome to Hornclub. It's a brand new channel dedicated to saxophones, saxophone players, gear, gadgets, all that kind of lovely stuff. With me, Bob, and my good pal Dean.
Hello.
And hopefully you're going to like it, and if you do, give us a big thumbs up. And remember, hit the subscribe button so you'll know when the next episode is out. So Dean, what's going on?
Well, I've been trying to stay friends with this, keeping the chops in. I've been doing a fair bit of online teaching, which is great, and really enjoy online teaching. I've been doing that for getting on for 10 years now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I was there early doors, and also checking out, catching up on the records and YouTubing it and all that.
Yeah.
Listening to obviously Dexter and Coltrane and Sonny Rollins and Charlie Parker and all that.
All the big guns.
Yeah. And then checking out some of the more kind of modern cats, and the maybe lesser known names. Yes, Ali.
Right.
Was a new one on me, I'm ashamed to say.
Yeah, I've heard a tiny bit about him, but what I saw a couple of things on YouTube, and fabulous.
Lovely. Right in the tradition and, and coming out of it, making his own voice, it's great. Melissa Aldana.
Ooh.
Yeah. That kind of coming out of Sonny Rollins vibe,
Yeah.
Just great. Who else? Troy Roberts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've
Some great players about, Yeah. Lucas Pino.
Ooh, yeah. Another big gun,
Yeah.
I was watching some of Lucas Pino, because I follow him on Instagram, being the big geek. And absolutely stunning. Really, really good. So I was checking out some of his, he runs a Nonette. There's a few albums out. The No Net, Nonette. Brilliant. Absolutely, really fantastic. Enjoyed that a lot. I've been listening to quite a bit of Tivon Pennicott. Another modernish player. It's come up over the last few years. There is a fantastic live stream. If you haven't seen it, watch it. With Emmet Cohen, fabulous piano player, his trio. He's doing a weekly live stream. It is absolutely top notch. It's recorded great, and it's sponsored by somebody big. I can't remember, but it's really, really good. A couple of weeks ago, they did a Sonny Rollins 90th birthday celebration, tribute, and featuring Tivon Pennicott. Mind blowing. It's well over an hour, and it's glorious stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Really, really good. I mean, it's great. What a tribute. I've also, a little bit left field, but I've been listening to an ECM artist from Norway called Trygve Seim. Probably not pronounced that quite right.
That's a big Scrabble score, that.
Yeah. It's a nine word.
Yeah.
But again, very, very different to what we've just been talking about, because, I don't know whether the ECM stuff is very European, soundscapey kind of stuff. But beautiful playing, really, really gorgeous sound that he has.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Come on, Bob, let's get nerdy. What does he play on? You'll know.
He's got two Conns.
Has he now?
Believe it or not, New Wonder II, tenor, and curved soprano.
Ooh.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful. Yeah. Anybody else you've been listening to?
Well, I've been checking out the live streams over here as well. There's a live stream from Robbie's. Again, beautifully filmed and recorded. I checked out a good friend, Alex Garnett, the other night. He was tearing it up, as usual. Because there's some good players on the UK scene as well. Absolutely. I was listening to this morning, Helena Kay.
Right, okay.
Yeah, she's a nice player. She plays great.
Yeah.
I met her, funnily enough, on a big band gig a few years ago.
Oh, really? Okay.
And we were the two tenor players.
Uh-huh.
And, because she writes all her own things and everything, and I was vaguely aware of her, and you always wonder, all right, what would you sound like on Pennies from Heaven?
Right.
And she stood up and took two choruses on Pennies from Heaven, and it was just wonderful. She's a great player.
I've heard a little bit of her, because she's got a trio, hasn't she?
Yeah.
It's Kim, or Kim trio, which is more original kind of stuff.
So it's great to see somebody doing the writing and just fabulous. Yeah, some good players around. Brandon Allen's great, Dave Wiggins has been on the scene forever. They're all playing Conns.
They're all playing Conn. Well, a lot of them are. A lot of them are, yeah.
A lot of them are, yeah.
Yeah, there seems to be a big resurgence in the Conns.
Yeah, which is a massive sea change from when I was a lad.
When you were a lad.
Yeah, and everybody, Pete Long referred to it as the tyranny of the Mark VI.
Okay.
Where everybody was on a Mark VI,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And I've got to admit, when I was a kid, there was nothing I wanted more than that S on the, so I could look in the mirror and see myself with the same horn that Coltrane had and Eddie Lovejoy Davies had, and you know.
Yeah.
And Dexter in the later years, of course, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was always a thing, but it's definitely changing. You see guys on all kinds of things now, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is kind of good.
Well, yeah, it's funny you mentioned Dexter, because the Dexter thing is, there's that thing with Dexter, isn't there? There's the Conn sound of Dexter. I know he had earlier on he had different horns as well. He must have had a few things, but he was more famous for playing the Conn 10M, and then changed to the Mark VI.
Yes, under mysterious circumstances.
Yeah, I've heard rumours.
Yeah,
as to why that happened.
Yeah, but I read the rumours too. Apparently, according to his biographer, which she should know.
Yeah, his wife. Yeah.
He I think he had 2 weeks in Amsterdam or something. So he hands the card with the name of the hotel to the taxi driver. Taxi driver drops him off. Dexter checks in, drops his horn in the room and the suitcase, goes off and, shall we say, samples the Amsterdam nightlife.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and sampled it so successfully that he couldn't remember which hotel he was in. And that was that. So Ben Webster gave him his spare Mark VI.
Oh, okay. Right.
Because they were very, very close friends.
Right.
And, and then from then on, Dexter was a Selma guy.
We're talking quite a lot about Conns today, as you can tell by the title. So we thought it'd be a good idea to play some. And we've got 4 classic models.
Yep.
From the classic period of Conns. We've got a New Wonder, which is from 1920. We've got a New Wonder II from 1926. A Transitional model from 1931. And a 10M. Pre-war. Roll, Toe and Hall, 1937. So let's have a listen to them and hear what the differences are, and you're going to give us a little insight to how they play, what they feel like, and so on.
And chat about the ergonomics and all that kind of stuff.
Great.
Yeah. So this is the Conn 10M. It's a pre-war one, 1937. This one, I think, and for my money, the best ergonomics of any tenor, including the modern ones. It may be a personal issue, it might be the shape of my hands, but when I play the kind of flappy paddle one, like the Selma and Yamaha and Yanagisawa layout, I always used to get a little bit of pain down my arm. On this it's quite different because you go across to the B flat rather than having to swing round. Personally, I prefer that. I think Conn really had all the ducks in the row with these horns. And they're a little more set, to my ears, they're a little bit more centred, a little bit more core sound, leaning towards the Selma side maybe. Because you can still get the big subtone thing that I think Conns excel at down the bottom. And you can really scream, you know. Just a great all-round horn, you know, for the old school thing and the R&B thing, and oh, I love 10Ms. Okay, so this is what's become known as the Conn Transitional. It's a late tuberry, And I've played on 10Ms for years, but these are really growing on me. I've got one at home and I'm struggling to put down. Ooh, that's pretty. It really sings, this one. The key work on these, it's not quite the same as the 10M. There's a couple of little things that take some getting used to. Fine when you get used to them. The button B flat and the B are in a weird place. But for me, I can get used to that. I know that some players have the B key turned round and the pearl moves, so it's a bit closer. But other than that, you know, by this time, all the palm keys feel like modern horns now. You don't get the articulated G sharp on this, but you can do it by just pressing both keys down together. It's no biggie, but I really like the sound these horns make. Absolutely no issues with the key work and the ergonomics on these at all for my money. Okay, so here I've got a horn that Bob's been kind enough to lend me. It's a gold plate, New Wonder II, and it's a lovely thing. Yeah, this was the first of the roll tone hole models, which Conn are famous for. Nice key work, again, no articulated G sharp. Unusually a stubby top E flat as well, but it sits nicely under the fingers, well my fingers anyway. So yeah, let's give this one a rattle. Goodness. Wow, I wasn't expecting that. When I put some air through it, it really gets some edge on it. My goodness, the New Wonder II. Yeah, so for me, just a slightly darker sound. It seems the further you go back, the darker these sound. When we get back this far, the ergonomics, I mean, to be honest, it doesn't trouble me. I mean, it might do if I was playing giant steps at 600 beats a minute or something. But other than that, they're perfectly serviceable. I guess you might say that the top E flats, it's a bit funny because it's stubby. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a little stubby key. It does sit under the fingers quite nicely, actually. If I had this horn, maybe I'd have the top F built up a little bit, a bit of silly putty or whatever they use. But it's the same routine, and you know, It doesn't get in the way. Lovely old thing.
Yeah, thanks for that, Dean.
No worries.
All sounded great. Four great saxophones.
Yeah.
All sounded fabulous.
They are fabulous.
Yeah, absolutely. I noticed, particularly on the New Wonder II demonstration you did, right at the end, you did the Dexter thing. What I mean by that is...
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
I know what you played. Well, you're going to tell me what you played. The clip where he's warming up on YouTube.
Oh,
Backstage.
the Montmartre thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nah.
That is the fella.
That one.
If you haven't seen this clip, you need to watch it. We'll put a link down below. It's footage of Dexter backstage, warming up, playing these kind of things. And it's great, to see a giant legend warming up. You don't usually just see them on stage and everything. So it's a really good bit of footage. And he's warming up.
So atmospheric.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, black and white, obviously. And he's warming up, gets up, goes down the stairs, straight onto the stage. Ben Webster's in the audience. Yeah. And everyone starts cheering. And he plays those With the Days, My Friend. It was fantastic. But that is interesting because that really does, to me, that's that Dexter, classic Dexter. Well, I hear some of the things in Charlie Parker and so on as well, but what is it? What are you actually doing?
Well, it's the diminished thingy.
The diminished thingy?
The diminished thingy, yes. That's the title of my new book, yes. The diminished thingy. No, basically what he's doing is he's got two diminished chords there.
Right.
And
okay.
The two diminished chords are a semitone apart.
Right, okay.
Or a tone apart if you prefer, but I always think of it as being a semitone. So what he's doing is he's approaching this diminished with this diminished. So you get one note from one diminished, going to one note from the next diminished.
Right, okay. It's a great sound, isn't it?
It's a beautiful, beautiful sound, and I never tire of it. I think my next door neighbour might, but I never tire of it.
No, it sounds fabulous. It really does have that authentic kind of sound. It sounds great. How did you learn about this, or how did it happen?
Well, I mean, I learned that particular thing as a diminished lick,
right,
to fit over 7 flat 9 chords.
Okay.
But never really realised that there was any significance to it. It's just like, oh yeah, that's a thing that you can do.
Right.
And of course, Coltrane always used to go. Business, you know.
Yeah.
And when I was at college, and still today, from any kind of jazz literature that I see, the focus was very much on chord scale relationships.
Yes.
So you see a chord, and then or you hear a chord, and then you've got to think, okay, I can do that scale and that scale and that scale, and modes of the melodic minor. I always found that when I went to music college and started to study that stuff, it just I couldn't make it didn't feel like the music that I liked.
Right, okay.
I didn't feel going... That just didn't remind me of what I started taking the saxophone seriously for in the first place, which was sounding like Dexter or Zoo Sims or anybody. There was a thing in the language that, for me, that was a different language.
Right.
So this kind of haunted me, really. I couldn't really find a way out. And then a few things changed for me. One, I started playing a lot with Neil Yates.
Oh, right.
Fabulous trumpet player, you know. Yeah. Dr. Neil Yates, actually. And ended up studying online with Hal Galper, who's an amazing educator. Yeah. And check him out on YouTube. And buy his Forward Motion book. Any musician worth the soul, anybody who's even interested in how music works, should have that book.
Forward Motion.
Yeah, Forward Motion. It's just fabulous. So studied the Forward Motion book, chatting to Neil, and Neil and I went to a couple of Barry Harris workshops.
Oh, right, okay, brilliant.
Where he talks in a very different way about improvising and jazz harmony. Interestingly, he said that there is no jazz harmony.
Okay.
It's just harmony.
Right.
You know. And it really got me thinking. It really started. What is it? And came to the realization that the very thing that was missing was the very thing that was never discussed at music college and that you don't see very often in the books, which is using the diminished chord as a pivot to get from chord to chord to chord to chord.
Almost like an approach kind of idea.
Yeah. So rather than thinking about 2-5-1s all the time, which is, it's a thing, but it's very limiting because, if you're not careful, it's all a bit lame,
Yeah.
I realised that the way in was to use what I call the leading note diminished all the time,
okay.
Which kind of gives you this sound.
Right.
Which, for me, is what I hear.
Yeah.
That's kind of the language of the Blue Note records and that kind of thing. So that's where that comes from.
Leading note diminished.
Yes. I'm going to get the T-shirt printed.
Yeah, you should. So
brilliant. I've got it tattooed on the back of my neck, actually.
Good. Yeah. So everyone can read it. So, great. It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And you've been doing that for quite some time. It's become an adopted, I don't want to say style, but way of playing.
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly the way that I think about it, and it's the way that I'm teaching it. Right. And it's certainly working better on both counts than what I used to do. I'll tell you that much. Because it's freer and it's simpler.
Yeah.
Because you're not thinking about huge chords.
Not doing all the maths.
C7 flat 9 sharp. I mean, I get a nosebleed when it gets to 9. Okay. I only want to think of 1, 3, and 5 really, and that's kind of what this has led me to.
Fabulous.
So,
excellent.
Thank you.
Well, I guess that gives you a little insight into Dean's leading note diminished, and probably brings us to the end of the first episode. We hope that you have enjoyed watching Hornclub, and if you have, big like, thumbs up, and please remember to hit the subscribe button so that you'll be aware of when the next episode comes out, and we will see you very soon.